I think we are live. Just going to take a look at that. Yes, we are live. We are live and direct. Hardware Flipper here. You know, I've been pretty much working whole day, and now it's time to take a little bit of a break. And I felt like this is something I can, do in this time. The eBay seller updates, eBay seller news for 2025 is out. I received the email yesterday and I felt like today I was going to try to take a look at it, see what eBay is up to, what eBay has been, cooking for us to make our business better, our reselling business. These updates, they are very, very important because sometimes you need to know what eBay is doing behind the scene. When we are complaining so many times, we need this feature, we need that feature. This is the kind of updates that we tend to find out if eBay is actually listening to our cry, trying to make the platform a better place for us. This is what we're going to be doing today. I decided to do it on the live stream because it's just easier. It could be interactive. If anyone out there is, live, give me a shout out, chat on the chat box, and let me know that you are hearing me live and direct, and let me also know where you are actually watching from. It's going to be an interactive session. If anybody comes on live, a reseller, and you have some 2 cents or some input about the seller update, if you've seen it, please go ahead, write me something in the chat box. I don't know how to link this file. I don't know if I can just grab the link and put it there, but I think it should be possible. Give me 1 minute to take a look and see if I can actually open the link on another browser. So I can actually grab the link and just, share it in the stream. But the problem is in German. Of course, if there are German audience out there, shouldn't be a problem. But luckily, if you are on Chrome, or I think even Firefox, you can actually go ahead and just translate the page. All right. Like I said, I have been trying to, work out a new position for some of my live streams. Previously, I have been working on my shipping desk. I mount the camera, and sometimes I have to move my monitor to the side, and everything was just kind of clumsy. And I felt like, okay, today, given that I have the chance, I'm actually right now restructuring my business, restructuring a lot of things, going on behind the scene in my entire business life, private life, trying to make, this whole process as seamless as possible, trying to make it possible that if I have to make a video for you guys, it should actually be as seamless as possible, because sometimes it takes a lot of effort to just, set up these cameras, make sure the lighting is right. And it takes a lot of time from us, A long time ago, when I see resellers making videos along the side, I used to think it was an easy business, guys. It takes a lot of time. So in fact, video making is a totally, different ball game. A different ball game. It's supposed to be a business or a job in itself, all right? But right now, if you are a content creator and you are also a reseller on the side, first of all, it's the best combination that you can actually have. But then it takes a lot of time for you if you do not have the right systems in place to make sure that everything works as seamlessly as it can possibly be. This is what I've been doing since morning, entailed me, turning around, setting tables, making sure I got the best angle for the lighting, because I work from a warehouse, and if you are not careful, things could be pretty much dark out here. As soon as the sun goes down, you can pretty much feel that the lighting situation is going to be very dark, and there's going to be a lot of noise on my footage. But as a matter of fact, that doesn't deter me, because the main thing that matters is the sound of my voice, and if you can hear the sound of my voice, which is all that matters in this business of me trying to show you the behind the scene of what it takes to be a reseller, a seasoned reseller, of what it takes to succeed if you decide to flip stuff on eBay. I basically flip used PCs, monitors, laptops, iPads, generally all form of tablets, be it Samsung, Lenovo. I flip this stuff on eBay, and on this channel, I tend to let you guys in on a little bit of the behind the scene of what happens if you decide to flip pieces. Of course, if you do not flip pieces, it doesn't matter. You could also be a part of this channel, because the experiences and the knowledge that we share here is pretty much what you can use in any category, be it shoes, be it clothing, be it books, you know, and the list goes on and on and on. Of course, I am still a young content creator. I am trying to, you know, find a voice on this whole YouTube street. There is a lot going on, guys. When you take a look at, you know, eBay as a niche on YouTube, man, there are a lot of sellers, some killing it, some also still trying to find a voice. You know, I kind of figured out that there was not so much, you know, people doing electronics content, and I felt like this is a space I can actually be in. And give and take, I have actually seen a few guys also killing it in this electronics category, you know, making content along the side, making sure that you guys get the information. It's a whole big community, and we are actually here to help ourselves. Nobody knows it all. And sometimes when we get, you know, informations like this, some of us resellers, we are so busy, we are out in the field. And why some of us, you know, are sitting down in the warehouse? Yes, of course, at other times, those of us in the warehouse, we are out in the field. And those of you right now in the field, perhaps you are sitting back, you know, chilling, you know, shipping some stuff or whatever you are doing. And then you might be the person, you know, sharing the information. I feel like this is my own turn to also contribute to the community. And the Seller News September 2025 is one thing we can actually take a look at. Okay, all right. So without a lot of stories, let's just take a look. It says, yes, Seller News, like you can see. And the first thing, all updates for smooth selling experience. I kind of translated this page to English, so it might be a little bit, you know, clumsy. Don't wonder why some of the sentences doesn't seem to, you know, make sense. But I'm going to try to take a look and as much as possible see what eBay is actually talking about. It said, you will receive shipping reminders and delivery status notifications, so your buyers don't have to wait. Yes, I also kind of noticed that on my seller cockpits. I don't know if I can open that now because there are so many, you know, details of sellers that shouldn't actually share, but I'm going to try to open it in a new tab and just go there and tell you guys what I have noticed. You know, on my seller cockpit, I have actually noticed that if you go to your sold listings on the side, I noticed that now eBay actually gives us a little bit of an information there. It said, just going to translate that once again. Shipping service, yes, if you have sent your items at the post office, it actually tells you on that. Previously, it was just like it's sent, the item has been sent, you do not have to see anything. But now it actually tells you when the shipping service actually scanned the shipping label that you use, because I use DHL as a shipping service. And previously, when we take the items to the post office, you know, DHL scans it, and that's just all. Of course, if you go ahead to track the item using the tracking number that DHL gives you, you see that the item has been delivered to the post office. But right now on the seller cockpit, you also have a little note just under the title that says the item has been shipped when the item was scanned. You know, this is something that's new. I noticed it a few days ago, and yes, it might be one of the things that eBay is doing behind the scene. Said you will receive shipping reminders and delivery status notification so that your buyers do not have to wait. I just want to open that on a new tab to see exactly what that is actually talking about. It said overview. You will now receive shipping reminders and delivery notifications so your buyers do not have, you know, to wait. So let's say I have an item that should be shipped out tomorrow and I do not ship it out. Definitely I'm going to receive a notification. I think this used to be on eBay. I really don't know what that meant. Normally we receive, I don't know. No, we do not receive a notification, but we receive on our seller cockpit. If you go to the things that you have to do, you see that there's an item that's kind of red and it tells you that it's overdue. Perhaps we'll begin to receive an email, but we're just going to read further to see exactly what that is talking about. All right. New item conditions for pre-loved kind of pre-used fashion are now available. So if you sell pre-used clothing, for example, you now have new item conditions. Check whether the selected item condition reflects the actual quality of your item. See, this thing actually started with electronics. I think about a year or 2 years ago, eBay started this program where your electronic item has to really be classified in which category the items you are selling are. Are they very good conditions? Are they good? Are they used with signs of use? Are they new? A long time ago, it used to be just new items and used items. But now, under the used item category, you need to specify if they are actually in excellent condition, very good, and so on and so forth. So I feel like for fashion, for clothing, eBay also now has, new categories that are available. I don't tend to sell clothing. As a matter of fact, I don't think I ever sold. Yes, I do sell pillow covers, but these are stuffs in new condition. But for those of you that sell, used clothing or used jeans, used t-shirts, men's clothing, women's clothing, you want to take a look at that, see how the condition affects you and how you can actually make sure you put up a good listing on eBay, because the problem is if you list and categorize your item wrongly, you also stand the chance of, buyer receiving the item. If you sell used clothing, the item is actually in good condition and you have specified that the item is in very good condition, that might not be good enough. And when the buyer has to return that item, yes, you actually receive a defect for items not as described. So it makes sense if you can actually take a look at that. Ship orders on time with shipping reminders, fast delivery. Okay, what you should know. One-time shipping is crucial for good shopping experience. Also ensures positive feedback. Of course, on-time shipping, you all know this is one of the things that eBay kind of frowns about if you ship your items too late. If you have told your buyers that the handling time that you are offering for your goods are like 2 days, please make sure that is the case. And when you ship out your items, you want to make sure that you have, the shipping labels or whatever, the shipping tracking number uploaded to eBay, so that eBay also knows that yes, the item has been sent. And like I showed you before, or like I talked about before, you now have a space or some notice on your cockpit that tells you that the item has been scanned by the shipping provider. Of course, how it works, one day after the promised processing time has expired, you will be reminded by mail exactly what I imagined, because before now, I don't remember receiving an email, but I know if I go to my seller cockpit, I see that it's kind of listed in red that an item is already overdue. But now it said 1 day after the promised processing time has expired, you'll be reminded by email or via the eBay app to ship the order. That is good enough, because sometimes for people that tend to receive very high volumes of orders, like 10, 15, 20 items going out one day, there might be a possibility where you forget, some items might be delayed, not just because of a direct fault of yours, but because you receive a lot of orders. It's what it is. You can forget something. And when you do that, eBay is saying, don't worry, we've got your back. We're going to remind you. One day, okay, once the item has been shipped, you can upload the tracking number. If you use eBay shipping labels, it will be automatically added. You will then receive a notification that your item has been shipped, and another one when the item has been delivered. All right, so now I understand what they're talking about. Before, if the item is delivered, you just receive, the notification on the eBay seller cockpit. But right now, you're going to receive, an email. So we are going to be bombarded with, more emails from eBay right now. You're going to receive an email on your email address that is tied to your eBay account, or on your seller, your eBay app on your phone. That's, I have to actually take a look at. Perhaps that's going to be rolled out next week. You don't have to do anything else. Just keep an eye on notifications to ensure your item reach buyers on time. I understand why eBay is doing this. Perhaps the incidences of items not shipped out on time, perhaps it's on the increase. I don't know the reasoning behind this, but it is a feature that's going to help us. Time is going to tell. Of course, from my side as a seller, I kind of imagine that it's going to help, because there have been an instance where I forgot to ship out a very small item. An SSD was ordered, and for one reason or the other, I forgot to ship it out, and it took me 2 days to finally realize that that item wasn't shipped out, But the problem is you do not get this reminder if you will not go to your seller cockpit. But right now, if you take a look at the app, eBay is saying that we are going to give you a notification so that, because if you are a seller, your app is something that we always, tend to look at. We tend to see if something has sold. We tend to take a look at it all the time, refresh it, take a look at who is, sending us messages and stuff like that. But right now, we didn't get any notification when items weren't shipped out. So I feel from my side that it's a good move if everything is going to work the way it should. Reminder, updates, update item condition for pre-loved fashion. I feel like this is pre-used because this is a direct, translation, but I feel it's pre-used. Describe the quality of your listings even more precisely thanks to new item condition options. Like I said, yes, said in July, Seller News, eBay announced the introduction of new item conditions for pre-used fashion, pre-used clothing. These options have been available since August 18th. Really, okay? They allowed you to describe the quality of your items even more precisely. This helps prevent misunderstandings, reduce the risk of return, and ensure a satisfactory buying experience for your customers. This is good enough because like I said, we already have this, for a long time in the electronics category. If you sell used computers, eBay has actually said, look, go ahead and describe your items very well. You might have to update your listings. What does it mean for you? If you don't update the condition of your listing before August 18, it will automatically be set to used good condition. So let's say you have listings before the August 18th, you haven't updated it. eBay is saying that they're going to automatically change the item condition to used. This is if you say used clothing, used and good. And good is just like an average, condition that the item can actually be in. Please review your listing to ensure that the new item condition accurately describe your item. So if you have an item that is in excellent condition and eBay has automatically defaulted it to, used good, you might be doing yourself a lot of disservice. You'll be leaving money on the table because somebody might be interested, but when he sees the condition, man, it's good. There's really nothing I want to do with this. But if you are very sure, of the condition of the item that you sell, jeans, shirts in very, very good condition, excellent condition, you want to go ahead, review your listings. The options, I believe, is available to everyone because eBay says since August 18, this feature has been deployed. So you want to go ahead, take a look at your listing. Beautiful thing is that if you want to change the item condition for one or more listing, you can find the feature under selling activities on my eBay under active listing, blah, blah, blah. And if you have many listings, you can save time with batch. This is the bulk editing tool and adjust multiple listings at the same time. This is a lifesaver because I'm aware some people have thousands of listings, hundreds of listings, 300 listings. If you had to manually go one after the other to update this listing, that would have been a major, time, major usage of your time just for nothing. But right now, thanks to the bulk editing tool that eBay actually makes available to us for those of you that have, very large inventories, with the bulk editing tool, you actually save a lot of time. Select the items you want to edit. Make sure you have taken a look. But then, in any case, even if you have the bulk editing tool, it still goes down to you taking a look at the inventories, trying to decide which ones are in the excellent conditions or which ones are in very good conditions, and even which ones are in good condition, because I feel like the categories are going to be like 3 or 4, which is good, very good, excellent, and on the lower end you could have used with signs of use or something like this, just like it is in the computer category. I'm just trying to take a look at how it is in the used PC categories. Just give me 1 minute. So I'm going to go to search for, how do I check that out? Let's assume I want to list an offer. Okay, no, I can actually go ahead and just act like I want to edit my offer, and then I see all the possible options that's available to us, those of us that sell in the used electronics category. All right, So exactly what I was taking a look at. This is exactly where it is. Good. For those of us in this, I participate in the eBay refurbish program, so I might tend to have more categories. We have new items. This is for those of you that sell electronics. You have new items. This is the very, very top. And then you have new order if the item is new, but you do not have the packaging, the original box, or the box has been torn out, but there are not actually signs of use on the item. It could be new. There is excellent refurbished. There is very good refurbished. There is good, and there is used, which is the item has previously been used, and there are signs, obvious signs of wear and tear. And then the last category is like defective. I don't tend to roll in these good refurbished or used or defective items. I tend to sell very good, excellent, new and above, because I feel like this is where the action is. This is where the money is to be made. Long time ago, I used to sell defective stuff on eBay. It was just a hassle. I used to sell good items, or items that have been used with really serious signs of use, but I realized that people do not tend to read the item descriptions. I don't know where that problem is coming from, but a lot of people did say that a lot of people make shoppings on their phone. And when you take a look at the eBay app, I'm just going there to see, and you try to buy an item, it's possible that it's not so obvious. Let me click on a particular offer. Let's say I want to buy this PC right here. It's possible that, yeah, but the problem is, the good thing is that the condition of the item is very, very visible right here. I don't know why people don't read it. The first thing that you see after the price is the item condition, but sometimes I realized, I haven't sold on eBay for a long time, that people do not tend to read the description. If you have an item in good condition or used condition with very strong sign of use, and you list it on the platform, especially when you use an image that you have of a different device, people want to just buy that item on account of the picture they are seeing, except you have specially put only the image of the defective item, or you make pictures where there are signs of use. People will buy the item expecting that you're going to send them a new item, and when they receive the item in question, let's say a laptop or a mobile phone or a tablet, an iPad, whatever it is, they are going to quickly reach back to you and say, look, the item is not as described. There are so many signs of use, but hello, I did put in the offer that the item is actually used with very strong sign of use. Okay, so you want to do yourself a great good by going to your listings, taking a look at them, compared to what you have, with you compare the conditions, the new conditions with what you have your inventories, and if they are in excellent conditions, go ahead and update them. And also understand that now, if you have to ship out items and you have forgotten, definitely eBay is going to be sending us a reminder, which is kind of a good move. Hopefully everything works like this. And then there are some few questions and answers, frequently asked questions. I said question and answers. Frequently asked questions, of course, there are also answers. It says, for which categories are the new item conditions available for used clothing accessories, blah, 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 everything, men's clothes, women, jewelries. Of course, you can take a look at the frequently asked questions. How do I edit multiple offers at a time? We talked about that, which is you using the bulk tool on eBay. What happens if the selected item condition is incorrect? This is putting your seller rating at risk, because if you keep selling items not as described, like you call an item excellent when it's not in excellent condition, buyer is going to reach back and return the item on account of the fact that the item is not as described. What if a buyer wants to return the item because of the stated condition? Yes, what does that actually mean? In this case, eBay recommends working with the buyer to find a solution. Yes, this way you can avoid cases being decided against you. If you have a return request, what we always preach on the platform is make sure you always reach out to the buyer, because sometimes, not so many times, I've been able to prevent a return just because I reached out to the buyer, even though the buyer had already initiated a return on eBay. You can still reach out to the buyer, you can still change things, and this is a good practice that we ought to have. You do not just sell item and then thereafter ignore your buyers, if they reach out to you per email, they're calling you, try to pick up the phone. Is the new direction I am going with this business. As a matter of fact, I've been putting systems in place. ChatGPT has been very, very helpful. Any message that comes now, even though it's a very inconvenient message, I want to acknowledge it. I want to send a reply and make sure that the buyer, gets replied to. And if in cases I can actually solve the problem, I would just go ahead and solve it. And in situations where I can no longer do anything than to accept a return, buyer is going to send back my item. Item is going to be returned. I'm going to receive it, take a look at it. If everything is fine, carefully give back the buyer his or her money. eBay does offer protection if an item is returned due to its condition. Does eBay offer protection if an item is returned due to its condition? Yes, eBay offers temporary protection for returns with this reason, item not as described. This will keep your service metrics in green zone and not very high, Please continue to process return as usual to avoid. I want to imagine that when people receive your item and you have described it appropriately, let's say it's an excellent item and you describe it as excellent and people want to return it on account of item not as described, eBay also has a way of checking to make sure that you do not mess up your seller, rating. So this is pretty much everything that, eBay is offering us in this update for September 2025. Not a lot, but kind of some information that you just have to put, in your tools box. This is not really technical updates that affect the way we sell. This is more or less, just giving us information on what they are planning to do, what they have done, and just to make it possible for you to deliver on your promises to your customers without having to, having to forget. It's just a reminder thing. And the other one, which is the item condition, pretty much a lot of us have already been describing our items the way they are, because even before this, people have pretty much learned that, look, if you describe your item wrongly, you stand a chance the item comes back to you, and you do not want that. You do not want that of your business. You do not want that for your business. And if you keep doing the right thing, like I always say, success is just inevitable. Keep pushing, keep making sure that you are doing the right thing at all times. Sometimes doing the right thing might be very, very inconveniencing, might be difficult decisions to make at times, but ultimately, if you set this as your goal, which is to make sure that the buyer is highly, highly satisfied, come what may, this is what has helped me up to now. You can pretty much set yourself out, distinguish yourself from the thousands of sellers selling your category. If you take a look at the electronics category, personally, there are a lot of sellers there, and it's always a fight for who is going to, be able to serve the customers better. Either you are trying to bring the best items to the market, which is bring the items that buyers want, or you're actually striving to give the best item in terms of the optical and technical conditions, or you are just actually trying to bring out the items with the best price, to serve your potential buyers. We're going to leave it here. Hopefully, this is going to be something that we're going to keep taking a look at. If November comes out, we are going to take a look at it, and then December and up to the new year, we're just going to keep doing what we are doing until I see you again in the next one. If you are not subscribed to the channel, I want to make a special plea. Go ahead and be subscribed. If you are watching this video on replay, please do me a favor. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment section. Leave me a question in the comment section. This is the way, only way I can take a look at it, and thereafter go ahead to give you a reply if I can. Otherwise, until I see you again in the next video, peace.